be our mediator tonight, and he will ask questions of our candidates. We'll first let them introduce themselves. They'll each have a minute to introduce themselves, and then we'll turn the time over to Eric. When they're through, there's some tables that they're going to each sit at a table, and you're welcome to go talk to them after and ask them any questions that you might have wanted answered that we didn't ask, okay? Okay, Eric.
Okay, is this gonna work? Do I need to push it again, or
Yes, if it's not green,
what's your right?
is it
Yeah,
still?
now it's green.
Okay.
Now I can read it.
Good. I think that's good. So, why don't we go ahead and start with the introductions, and we'll start with you, Mrs. Murdoch.
Use your mic, please.
Oh,
Sorry.
be really, we're recording it to put on our new website,
Is it up and running?
townofgenola.org.
Is it up and running?
Yes, it is.
Awesome.
Okay.
So I am Genola Murdoch. We have lived here for 16, almost, come November, it'll be 17 years. I really love this community. I love the people, I love the uniqueness, and I am all in. I am all in for this position and for this office. And I'm just excited for the opportunity. And I'm excited for change. So, there you go.
Yeah, I'm Marty Larson. I moved to Genola in '96. I married a Genola, lifetime Genola, Belinda Brown. I think since, I better not say how long she's been here. I have 4 children. One, my youngest, is still living at home. My occupation I moved to Genola for was dairy farming. I dairy farmed for a long time in dairy years. And I now, I still farm alfalfa and work in the community, but my main job is with Strawberry Highland Canal with the irrigation company. I think I've lived in Genola longer than any other place. I think what I love most about the people. Well, one reason I moved here is because of one special person, but my wife, we wanted to grow up here and have a place where we could farm and so forth. And I think the thing I like most about Genola is the people. I custom build and work for a lot of different people, and I enjoy that. My daughters who used to go with me quite a bit said it wasn't any fun because I talked longer than I cut hay, but anyway. And so I appreciate the people. That's my favorite thing. I appreciate serving. It does bring me great joy, and sometimes some people are harder to talk to than others, but I do enjoy talking to all of them and hear the different perspectives.
My name is Hale Robinson. I've been here for 49 years. I married a Sheila Carter, who was born or raised here. I absolutely love this town. Oh heavens, I've worked for Genola as a police officer. I've worked for the city on the roads and water for years. I just absolutely love the people here in Genola. I mean, it's a unique place. You know, I don't think there's a better place than Genola to be. And the people was amazing. I have 5 children, and they feel that they wish they could move out here, but they're so expensive they can't. So, but anyway, I just want you to know that this place is awesome. Thank you.
My name is Darren Hughes. I wish I could say I've been here as long as these guys, but I you'd call a transplant. I moved to Genola about 6 years ago. I lived there across the street from the cemetery, and I was born and raised in Spanish Fork. We lived out just outside of Spanish Fork, had 55 acres, and so we lived the rural life as well. And something that I longed for as I got married and had to move into the city and be with the city folk. I had to get out of there and move to somewhere where I felt home, and that was Genola for sure. When my wife and I moved here, we felt right at home with the people and the area, and grew to and have loved the area since we have been here. We have 4 children that we are growing out here, and they absolutely love it. So I'm just excited to serve and hopefully get back to my community.
My name is Grant Lundberg. I grew up in the Sandy Draper area, and I'm a professor of Russian at BYU. I have 4 kids. Only one of them is still at home. He's in home MTC right now, getting ready to go to St. Petersburg, Russia on his mission. So if he can get there with the COVID and other things, but so we've been here about 5.5 years, and I'm gonna, I guess, say the same as the rest. I'm really grateful for the community. I enjoy the small town rural nature of it. When I'm out running in the dark, nobody's tried to run me over. I don't know if you've seen that guy with the flashlight. That's me. Appreciate it. Sometimes it gets a little close, but it's been good so far. Teenagers and the bus drivers are maybe the scariest. When I moved in, Lonnie brought me a loaf of bread, and Marty, you ought to start that back up. That was a pretty nice thing to do. So I'm grateful for that. One other thing I'll say, and I know we're kind of jumping onto that second question, but what you like most about Genola. I love the rural nature of the place, but I also really like the fact that for the most part, everybody lives by the same set of rules. There's not a set of rules, a little bit of give and take there, but not a different set of rules for large property owners and a different set for small property owners. I think that's a really positive thing. If you've got the room, you can do it. And I appreciate that. That's really a strength of the community.
Thank you, everyone. So what I'd like to do is, so we don't make the same person go first every time, but we'll rotate it down the line, so if that's okay with you. I noticed that most, if not all of you, spoke about the first question was what do you like about Genola as part of your introduction, so we'll skip that question if there's no objections. Does anybody want to go through that? Okay. All right, so Mr. Larson, we'll go to you next. And the next question is, how do you propose to react to growth as more people move to Genola?
I believe you get prepared for growth. I think if you close your eyes and look the other way, that won't stop growth. So I think you need to realize and prepare that it's coming, because if you ignore it, I think that causes more problems. And so I do believe in preparing the basics. And one, I believe, is in our water system. We have one well for a big community, and it's at one end of town. I do believe that it's nice to have a redundant system, because at times that well breaks, or we need to lower it, or we need to paint the tank, or so forth. And so my focus would be on the infrastructure, such as a well and a tank, roads, and more for the basic utilities as they come, to make sure they're up and they're prepared. And then I do think in preparing for the future, we need it to pay for those things. We need it equally assessed on those coming in as well as those who are already here, and not put any undue pressure on the ones who are already here.
Thank you. Mr. Robinson.
feel the same way Marty does about things, and we have a lot of things going on here in town, and it's just like we're getting a new well drilled and a new tank, and that's obviously gonna really improve things here. We have things set in place for, your 2.5 acre lots. That's gonna keep things at a normal, I would say. You can't stop growth, we know that. So, but we have a lot of things left to do. We got a lot of roads to keep going. We got all kinds of things to do. And so we need to be cautious how we spend our money, and be cautious, I can't say our money, your money, and make sure that the things we vote on and have, it is for the good of the people of the city. I'm all for that.
Yeah, so I as well agree with these two, and I think we need to welcome growth to our community. It's like Mr. Robinson said, it's not gonna stop, it's gonna come. People are coming here, they're seeing the great community that we have, and I think we need to welcome it. But we also need to make sure that things are in place and infrastructure is there to support those people, so we don't put any burdens on any of us or anybody that's been here, to make sure things are prepped and ready, and welcome them with open arms, and bring them into our community as well.
You wanna go first, or?
No, go ahead.
We'll make sure we get everybody.
Okay, good. Well, I welcome the water project. I think that's a wise move. I am especially interested in zoning issues. I think that it's important to, as people come in, that we have clear policies and regulations so that people learn to accept the way of life that's here and not come planning to change it. I think that's important. But also that the policies are clear. I'm very interested in the work that's been happening on the zoning issues connected to mining. If there's anything I'm against, it's probably the growth of that particular industry in town. And I'd like to be careful about the way we deal with that question. Again, I know it's necessary to grow. It's a good thing to grow, but I want to make sure that we don't get caught up in not paying attention and allowing mining or some other heavy industry to be in a place that would really damage the nature of our community. So that's maybe my biggest focus.
Mrs. Murdoch.
I need a mic. Not that I really need a mic. So going last kind of gives me the advantages, because I can say, well, I like that about mayors, and I like that about Hal's, and I like that about, and to put it all in perspective is we definitely need to embrace the growth, because it's coming whether we want it or not. And I totally agree with making sure that our codes are enforced, our lot sizes are enforced, to where we are actually at the 2.5 acres that we should be. And therefore everybody has, okay, it may be a little different shape, but the size is the actual same. I mean, I was looking at boundaries today, and I'm surprised how many have got passed without. And I think we need to make sure that we are embracing the water project, because we definitely need it. We need to keep our agricultural the way it is. We need to make sure that the mining isn't destroying our trees. That can happen with all the trucks. So there's a lot that we still need to work on, and there's a lot that we need to make sure stays the same. So I embrace all 4 of their opinions, and I liked aspects of every single one of them. So there you go.
Thank you. Going with that that same pattern, Mr. Robinson. You're next. Let me rephrase a little bit of this question, but I know the council works as a team, and when you have a team, you give assignments to each member of the team. Those come from the mayor, and the assignments are parks and recreation, streets, water, and the rodeo. What previous public service, life experience, or any kind of training do you have that will help you in this position?
Well, like I said, I've been here for 49 years, and I spent, I can't remember how many years in law enforcement for Genola City, along with, I was over the roads and water at the same time, so I kinda was the only employee of the cities for several years. So I know how things work in this city and what we need to do to keep it going good. I got experience in the water and the roads and things like that. And I've also served with the council for quite a few years with, I think, 4 mayors, I think, so far, from Danny Throckmorton to now. I really appreciate being on the board and being a part of, helping this town forward and doing the right thing for people here in the valley. I hope my experiences will come in handier later on.
Mr. Hughes.
So I've, obviously, I've been part of the rodeo, been on the rodeo committee the last, few years. I've also, in the past, I grew up with horses and I have served on, a couple of the, associations that I've been a part of, been on their boards. I've been on, search and rescue. I was the president of the search and rescue for Utah County, a few years ago, and so my biggest help, I guess, and thing is part of the rodeo and that part. I've also got kids in the park and recreations, and so I helped coach this past year and loved it and fell in love with that. So the parks and recreations probably would be also a good fit. And I also been in construction for over 20 years, and so any part that I am placed or any assignment that I'm given, I dive in and I dig in, and if I don't know the answers, I talk to the right people and find the questions I need to answer, and I put my whole heart into the things that I do. When I'm given a task or I'm doing something with my family, I just don't do it halfway. It's all in. If my kids want to play football, we've got all the football gear you can need, and my wife probably complains about it more than it thinks that it helps us, but, and so that's just kind of where I am. Rodeo for sure would be my expertise. I've done it for a number of years, but any of the assignments that I would be assigned, I think I could fit in and help and be a benefit to the community.
Thank you. Mr. Lundberg.
Well, I stayed on a calf for about 30 seconds. Did rodeo. I think I'm gonna vote for Darren first and me second. So I don't have a particular area of focus that fits into those. I'm confident that I could be a good representative for the community, people who know the specifics of the things that are important to them, and be an advocate with the council. And that's really just an approach more than an area of specialization. So I think that's maybe what I would say on that.
Thank you. Mrs. Murdoch.
Same questions?
Yeah, it's, what previous public service, life experience, or training do you have that will help you in this position?
Really, other than dealing with the public on an everyday basis and running my dad's Chevron station, and you know, when I was trying to decide on clerks and what hours to work them, sometimes it helped to just ask whether or not that's the shift that they wanted and how good they thought they could be. And then sometimes it depended on whether or not they could handle the busy time. If they couldn't handle the busy time and somebody else could, then of course I'm gonna put the one there that could. So, you know, we got Darren over there that, you know, first priority would be the rodeo, because that's what he loves. That's what he knows and that's what he likes. So, you know, you take people and you put them in their best place where they can do the best, and sometimes all you have to do is ask them.
Thank you. Mr. Larson.
Okay, life experiences, work and public service. I went to the University of Utah, going through school. I worked as a part-time accounting manager at a travel stop, and then I got moved up to accounting manager at that stop. And then I got moved up to a C-store manager, where you make the schedule and deal with people. And then I got moved to general manager in Nevada over an entire truck stop. So I worked in the service industry and older people and so forth. I then came and moved back to Genola and worked on dairy. That being what I did when I was younger and going to high school, which was my passion or my love at that time. And anyway, and so I went back to agriculture, so I know agriculture, I know the community, I've been here a long time, and I probably migrated towards water. So that's some of my professional experience. As far as public service, quite a long time ago, the mayor asked me to serve on the planning commission, and I was caught off guard, so I said yes. So I served on the planning commission, and then from the planning commission, I served as a town council member for 4 years under Mayor Ward, and he taught me a lot. I'm gonna blame him a little bit. He taught me a lot, and he was out of town a little bit, so I got to fill some of his duties and got to go to a few meetings as occasion permitted, or as he did it, and so I got more comfortable with what it takes, and so following that, I ran for mayor and have been mayor for 4 years. So I think through my professional service and through my public service, I've got a lot of experience and understanding. But I think the biggest qualification I have is not necessarily school or public service. I think it's something that I've worked on, and that is dealing with people in a kind and courteous way. I refuse to let people make me angry and make me worked up and make me make decisions based on emotions. It is very important to me to treat people with courtesy and kindness, and listen instead of telling them the answer when they're half done talking. And so I don't know if that's taught anywhere, but I have worked on that a long time, and I feel that's very important in this position and would be a good asset to Genola.
Thank you. We have another question, so Mr. Hughes, we're gonna go to Mr. Hughes for this question to start with. Why are you running for office, and what issues are you concerned about?
So the reason I'm running for office is I like to serve, and I like to help my fellow neighbors and try to be the best human that I can be. And so I want to just help out my community and try to give back to this great community. Some of the concerns, I guess they're really not big concerns. I mean, this is a great community and a great area, but I would just like to see going to the arena and the rodeo, I'd like to see that continue to get improved and able to turn that arena and help hopefully make it into where it can give the town some revenue. One, by renting it out to different clubs. Spanish Forks Arena, for example, is in the wintertime, it's always, well, and even in the summer, it's always booked out. Both arenas, the indoor and the outdoor arena, and they charge $350, $400 a day to rent that out. And I see our arena, and I've been in a lot of arenas across the nation, and our arena is really a great arena. The footing's perfect, is great for team roping, barrel racing, and rodeo. It's a great size, and I think that people and clubs would love to come and use our arena, and pay to use our arena, not just let them have it for free or just let them use it, and cost the town some money. But I think we can turn that into, some income for the town and help, continue to bring those type of people to our community. I know we could have team roping and barrel racing jackpots all summer long, and be able to use that space. I'd also like to see the parks and recreations, like the ballparks and the soccer fields and those improved to accommodate all the new people that are coming in and all the people that like to play the sports that may not enjoy or use the arena, but give them somewhere to have a good quality game time. And also, I'm an electrician by trade, and I own my own business, and one of the concerns I have is with all these new homes going in, I'm not sure that our homes are being inspected properly. And so I would like to go down that path to make sure our homes are safe, that there's being inspected properly, and that everything's being put in up to code and is safe for our community.
Thank you. Mr. Lindberg?
Well, I'm not running because I'm necessarily upset about anything or against anything. I've been actually, over the last couple of years, spent quite a bit of time at city council meetings, just observing and trying to participate where it's possible. And I am really pretty pleased about much of the work that the mayor, the current mayor, and the council have been working on. As I mentioned, I'm grateful for the mining code that's being worked on. I know it's in the process. I've seen a couple of versions of it, and I'm really interested in supporting continued support for infrastructure, including water. And the main reason that I wanted to run is that I'm interested in participating in the planning of this community and being a part of that, and so I want to contribute to it. And I feel really comfortable with the people that are up here, and I'll be happy to support all of them. So my interest is really being a part of a community that's important to me.
Mrs. Murdoch?
You know, they've hit on a lot of good reasons. I opted to go for mayor because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I am excited to bring a different perspective. I am excited to bring a voice to those that feel that they no longer have a voice in this community because nobody is listening to what they have to say. And I want to listen. I want to hear what their concerns are. I want to know that I might be able to absolutely help them. I want to give back to this wonderful city that I live in and have enjoyed raising my boys in and riding the horse in and raising whatever I choose to raise on my property. And I am grateful for the people that I know. I cherish my friendships, and I am just excited to be able to give back and hold true to this small community that we need to hold true to.
Thank you. Mr. Larson?
I'm gonna repeat that.
Sure. Why are you running for office, and what issues are you concerned about?
Okay. So people have asked me, actually they just made the statement, why are you running for office? You must be crazy. You know, why would anybody ever want to do that? And that's a pretty good question, isn't it? Why would somebody run for mayor in a community when it seems like all you hear is the complaints or the criticism or what's going wrong instead of what's going right? And so as I heard those over yes, the ones who come to the meeting, the ones you hear from, the ones that are on your doorstep, are the ones who say something's going wrong. But as I have served, and even though some things can be contentious or debated or have really polar opposite views, I do have great pleasure in trying to help solve those problems. But I do realize a mayor is not a king, and he can just not fix everything, do what he wants, and whatever. There's a process. And the process, generally with ordinances, starts at the planning commission. And they have public hearings for public input. And then they have a recommendation, and it comes to the town council. And then 5 town councilmen debate it and vote on it. And so being involved in that process, and not just telling people how it is, and you can do this, and you can do that, and you can't do this. Being involved in that process where it requires a lot of people to resolve a problem, it brings me pleasure to see that process work. Now, in that process, you always have some who didn't get what they want. Actually, both people generally sometimes don't get what they want. But in the middle, you do serve the people, and it's best for the community. You know, in having those rules and laws that protect those people who have been here a long time, such as orchards, protecting them from dust that comes from, you know, new gravel pits moving next to them and so forth. I do like to protect those. And then I serve on several different committees that talk about water and bringing water to South Utah County and to Genola. And I serve on a community that helps low to moderate income, and in those I have had opportunities to Meals on Wheels, being associated with the Mountain Land Association of Government. I've got to go in our community and help out Meals on Wheels and hand out those meals and see the seniors or whoever they're doing it to. And so that was a great pleasure, just kind of one-on-one, me and the driver, and we went out and stuff. So this year, as I went out and I campaigned and talked to people, I ran across a few, and they says, "Hey, I remember you. You served Meals on Wheels. I appreciate you." And so that's a one-on-one thing. I do like the one-on-one thing better, and that gave me great joy. Probably my least favorite is riding in the rodeo around that thing, waving to people, waving to people, you know, that part is probably my least favorite, but I do like the one-on-one, and I do like serving. And that's why I probably gave you too long of an answer. That's why.
No, that's fine, thank you. So, I don't have a buzzer to give me one. Mr. Robinson, same question.
I'd like to echo what you just said. I enjoy this community, and I enjoy giving back if possible. There's a lot of times when if we've got water problems or road problems, you'll probably see me there with Chris to see if I can help him out of anything. I enjoy sitting on the council and making these decisions and trying to bring things to light. And like you said, it takes all of us to make these decisions. It's just not one person. And I just enjoy working with people, and that's why I stayed in this darn long, because I'm hoping I'm doing a good job and making the right decisions. But a lot of that comes from the input from you guys, what you want us to do, you know, and to let us, you know what you feel, you know, so we can make these decisions the right way, because we definitely have to work together, all of us, not just the council, but the whole Genola as a whole. And I really don't have anything that needs to be fixed in Genola, other than we just need to do more things, like make the roads better, extend the roads out, and make sure our water's improved, and we got things like that going, you know. So that's pretty much echo what everybody else has been saying.
Thank you. Okay, so our next question goes to Mr. Lundberg. You can start. In such a divisive climate, what will you do to make sure the town of Genola is unified and all-inclusive?
Thanks for starting me out with the easy one. I'm a big believer in local everything, in particular local government, local decisions and local solutions, primarily because I think that is the place where many of the most important things happen that are really connected to people's lives and what they do. So I think that focusing on what is right here, what we can fix, rather than hot button issues that make people upset, is the way to be unified. When we're talking about real people, when you talk about categories, it's easy to be upset with people. When you talk about a real person with real concerns and you try to understand them, it's a lot harder to be divisive in the same way. And so that's really where I focus is local and close. And I think that's something that's a powerful way for us to work together. You know, we all get really upset when we think about, you know, some word like socialism or something. But we're quite communal locally. We take care of each other. We do the things that we need to do to build each other. And we don't always worry about what the context is for that. We just take care of people. And so I think there's a power in local and focus there.
Thank you. Mrs. Murdoch?
I agree. There is a big power in local and being focused on one another. And one of the ways that we can, I know, you know, not everybody's going to go to the website. I mean, there's still a few of our little community that do not have laptops. They don't have internet. So what they have is the newsletter. What they are receiving is the newsletter. So they're not always aware of what's going on. So we need to make sure that even if they can't get on the computer and, you know, nobody does that, and we are sending out these newsletters, we need to make sure they're going to everyone, and that everyone, you know, everybody knows, you know, the councils are going on and the elections are going on, or for the most part they know, but do they know? How do we know that they know? Because there's not a very big turnout. I'm grateful for those that have came. I'm excited to talk to everyone, but how do we get the word out? Well, the newsletter is the start, but we've got to make sure that it goes and the information is in it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Larson?
So I think the system is set up to make it easier to keep things from being divisive. So when subdivisions come before the council, those subdivisions are presented for the council to follow the rules that were generally ordinances that were made by previous planning commissions and previous council members and so forth. So implementing those takes it so you're implementing the exact ordinance. Now, sometimes things come up that maybe weren't thought about. You know, proposed roads. We have proposed roads, and somebody comes before the council and they don't like it because it went through their place or wasn't perfect or allowed them to maximize exactly what they did. But when the proposed roads were put in, they were based on traffic flows and what would be easy. But sometimes there's unintended consequences of ordinances that weren't thought about at the time, such as, do we build a proposed road that doesn't have a beginning and end and goes nowhere on the back of somebody's lot? You know, okay, that might be an unintended consequence, and we should fix ordinances that we come across that have consequences that are not intended in the original. But when they come before us, I do believe that we should follow them, and sometimes that's hard, and sometimes you have to follow them even though it's your best friend, your home teaching person, somebody you've cared about, you've served, and you've done well, and somebody maybe you know their parents and have done them and so forth. That becomes hard because you wanna do the compassionate thing. But I do believe we should follow the ordinances in place. Now we say, okay, you look at an ordinance and one lawyer can look at it one way and one lawyer can look at it another way. And then you have your own town legal counsel that looks at it their way. And so I don't know that we can just say, a lawyer says this, so it is absolutely right. We have to make those tough choices. And I think we can make those tough choices and not have to be divisive, not have to slam and criticize and backbite and publish character assassination, whatever it is, to win or to have it the way you think it should be. I think it can be resolved, especially all the people that are involved in putting forth an ordinance and how our community is. Not a big fan of petitions. I think petitions are sometimes misled when they go to door, and I don't think sometimes all the information is portrayed the way it is. But I do believe in understanding the community and let the community serve what the community wants. And I believe my part is to come to council meetings prepared, study the issue, talk to the people, go to whatever source I need to go to get the information I can feel confident in making a decision.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Robinson?
You're right, this is a real hard question. I feel like Marty Larson, we have to work together and make these decisions, and we have to make sure we don't, how would I say it, fall in the wrong spot. We gotta make sure everybody's together with what we do. We got a lot of things going on, we have to keep all of us, I guess you say, in tune with what's going on in our council, even in town. We have to make sure we work with one another and just see if we can't get through all this. That's a pretty hard question, I can't answer very well, I'm sorry.
Mr. Hughes?
So I think one of the biggest keys is to keep an open mind, and not think that my way of thinking is the correct way, that other people have different views. Are we always gonna be together and unified, have people wanting the same thing? That's gonna be pretty tough. Everybody has their right to their own opinion and their own thought process, but I think a key as a councilman would be to keep an open mind, listen to the people in the community, go and talk with them, do the research on the subject that's at hand, and then make the best judgment call and try to keep an open mind and listen to people. I think that's gonna be one of the biggest keys, to listen and really listen to what people have to say and really what people want for their community. And sometimes it's probably not gonna be the way that I feel, but keeping that open mind and being able to accept it and to see their point of view, I think that'll be a great asset to bring the community together and hopefully solve some of the concerns in the community.
Thank you. For this next question, we're going to Mrs. Murdoch to go first. And are you committed to spending additional time outside of town council meetings in your position, including research and additional external meetings? And then it has a second part, is how many extra hours would you be able to set aside for town service?
I'm not even elected and I'm already doing that. So I've been going back through all the minutes and between the planning and the town council and trying to catch up and get a better grasp on things here. And so I'm already going above and beyond, but there is no limit on time of what you can do for your community. So to put down a time would just be ridiculous, because there is no time on the community. We live here, it's our community, and you put in the time if you want to keep it good.
All right, thank you. Mr. Larson? Mr. Larson?
Okay, time. want more time. So I think, as I would prioritize, I believe, I'm answering the question probably kind of personal, we should do that in a public setting. But I believe as far as time, I do have priorities. And I would probably set Sunday aside to not serve in a political capacity. Also at times, I really value my family, spending time with them, special vacations, special events and so forth. So on occasion, they are a priority, and on occasion, as I have served, we have a mayor pro temp who has handled a couple meetings, you know, every year, every now and again, when I spend time with my family. And then next, I would go to community. Now, time, I don't know that I'd analyze it as time, because what I serve in, and I migrate to those things I know most about, whether it be water, infrastructure, and I even going to different meetings, I'm learning a lot about transportation and so forth. I get so engaged that time's not a concern. We gotta get the problem taken care of or fixed, or I gotta understand it. And as you go to those meetings, you're there as mayors, and you're there with Warren and Provo Mayor. They're talking about transportation, talking about funding, and how far should the front runner come down, and how should we access Genola across from the hill, and should we widen Santaquin to a 5-lane road, and should it go, you know, how do we get with Alberta and so forth. And so you think, oh, that'll take a lot of time, but I'm interested in those things. So I do what it takes, and when I speak up, when you're just Genola, you speaking up about this, I get engaged, I speak up, and so when I say something as far as population's concerned, probably overrepresentative, because Provo Mayor speaks out, and I speak up, and when we vote, we have the same vote. And so as far as this time, I think you put in the time to study the issue, be engaged, and make the vote.
Could you shut that down? We don't want no 5-lane road.
Santaquin to Goshen, Highway 6. So, that's my answer.
All right, thanks, Mr. Larson. We're gonna try to be a little quicker. I've been talking with Lucinda, and we're gonna cut some of our questions out. Some of you have already covered really well, so we'll just be redundant. So we've saved it for 2 more. But anyway, let's go ahead and continue on this question, and then I'll let you know what the last 2 are. When we have to
On the
finish
same
this
one on time?
Yeah, so if you could just talk about on time.
Okay, I enjoy spending extra time working for Genola and trying to get bids and things like that for what we need to get done. I really do. Especially the last 2 years, I'm retired from Geneva Rock, so now I got lots of time. If my wife don't catch me, she keeps a pretty good whip on me, but you know, I'm kind of like Mayor Larson. You know, my family, of course, comes first, but still, I'm not gonna slack my duties with my duties here at Genola. I'm gonna do the research, I'm gonna find what I gotta find and get on top. I feel that if we're gonna get in this position, and whether it's mayor or council or whatever, we need to do the best we can for the people. And sometimes it does require some time, you know, and sometimes a little more time than you thought it was gonna take. But at the end, it feels pretty dang good that he was able to pull something through to help Genola out, whether it's water, roads, whatever. It's like I said, I enjoy it, and time's just not a big thing to me, because I know how to handle my time and how to get things done at home and the city, and so that's like that.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hughes.
So I'm, as well as Marty, you know, my Lord and Savior is first, my God. And second is family is gonna be my priority. But also the community is part of that family. And so can I put an hour on how many hours I'm gonna say I'm gonna be at the town or, no, obviously we can't. There's different concerns as things arise, if things are needing to be done, for the community that needs to happen, I'm all in. I'll put my time in and find the research and figure it out and get those concerns or those issues, taken care of. And so I'm able to, as I own my own business, I can kinda pick my schedule and able to take some hours away from the day if I need to dedicate it to the town and make sure things are moving forward.
Thank you. Mr. Lundberg?
I'm a professor, so I only work about 15 hours a week.
You sound like my brother.
My wife says I have 3 hours and 15 minutes a week to give.
Okay.
I'm willing, the answer is yes.
All right, thank you. Okay, so we're gonna, we have 2 questions left. We're gonna talk one about the water tank, but the first one, we're gonna talk about budget. And this question, we'll start with Mr. Larson, you're next to go first. So based on the town budget, if you were currently sitting on the council, would you, and there's 3 answers, or you can answer it any way you want, would you reduce spending, leave as is, or seek to increase the town's income?
I guess when you say increase the town's income, tax hikes or raise fees or so forth, I'm a no on that. As far as reduce, meaning, I guess, lower taxes and give our clerk a pay cut. I don't think I'm for the reduced. What I am for is for getting the biggest bang out of our buck. And I know some people don't like grants because they have some strings attached and you have to do things a certain way. But I am for maximizing our contribution and leveraging it so we get more out of the money we have, which really means reduce income and increase spending. I'm not a Democrat, but I am for getting a biggest bang out of our buck, and I do see that we should search for opportunities when there's an opportunity where we can get something done in our community, such as water or paving for, the ADA, parking, or even parks and rodeo and improving our, bleachers and so forth. I do believe in, well, okay, I'll give you the short answer. I don't think you can starve profit out of a cow. I think you have to feed it appropriately to get the most out. I don't think you can reduce the feed and come out better off. I think you need to put the right amount in to maximize the result.
Thank you, Mr. Larson. Mr. Ellison?
I'm like Marty, I don't wanna raise taxes, there's no way I wanna do that. I think that, we have a budget every year, we try to stick to this budget. And sometimes you can't stick to the budget because things happen in different areas in the departments in the city. So we have to make some adjustments. And I don't know, I really don't know what the answer is to try to reduce it. I just don't think you can reduce it. Maybe you can, I don't know. But I know that we need to watch ourselves, watch our spending. We need to make really good choices as a council and what we're gonna spend our money for, and if it's the right thing, and if it's gonna help Genola grow.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson.
So it's really hard to give a appropriate answer on this, not knowing what the town budget is and what is being sent. But I do like Marty's answer of making sure that it's properly taken care of, that we're going in the right direction. If we can reduce our spending, and do stuff to help our community or get volunteers to help reduce our spending, I'm all for it. Also, you know, we, as we grow and we expand, we have more people coming to the community, more coming to the town. Hopefully we don't have to increase anything. And so I would like to try to at least keep it the same, and if not, lower it a little bit if we need to. But it's really hard not knowing all the positions and where all the money's going. But it's kind of the same as Marty, is making sure we're getting the same bang for, or the biggest bang for our buck and getting the most out of our dollar.
Thank you. Mr. Lundberg?
I'm in favor of careful spending and budgeting. There may be some room for impact fees, development, new, as people move in to help cover some of the costs of the things that are associated with those new developments. Those are some of the ideas that I have.
All right, thank you. Mrs. Murdock?
I definitely don't wanna raise taxes, but we do need to, make sure that we are getting our biggest bang for our buck. And sometimes it's hard to do that because, like Mr. Robinson said, there's things that come up that there was no idea that it was gonna be needed. And we've got to really be smart with our budgeting and our spending. So I'm all for trying to figure out how to help reduce our spending, but I wanna make sure that we stay on track on what we're going to do in our community.
Okay, thank you. So this is the last question, and you've kind of addressed it, each one of you, a little bit already. But if there's anything additional you wanted to say on this topic, feel free. Mr. Robinson, you're up to go first this time. The town is currently in the process of putting in a second source of water with a new well and 1,000,000-gallon tank. Will you be willing to see the new water project through?
Yes, we've been working on it for quite a while and pretty excited about it. It's been a real slow process working through the BLM and whatnot, getting the permits and things like that. But I'm really excited to get this second well, and we need it. If this well ever went down and we got this one going, we're gonna be in some pretty good shape. So I really wanna get this pushed through. I'm looking forward to it, and I know that Genola is really gonna be good for it. I mean, we're gonna have the water we need for everybody, and we're gonna be able to keep building. I guess people can keep buying ground and building homes because of it, because we'll have plenty of water to do that.
Mr. Hughes?
Yeah, I think it is a good addition to our community, and it'll be neat to see it in the process and to help. So yes, I would be willing to see that project through and to help where I could and see the town benefit from that tank and that water. That's the biggest concern in community is water, and so I think it's a great project that the town's already going. They've probably done most of the legwork and the hard work now, and now it's just gonna be kind of watch it kind of finish up and help hopefully improve our community and our water system.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lundberg.
I am willing to support it.
I know that's the danger of a yes, no question.
As long as somebody else pays for it. No, I'm kidding. No, I am willing to support it.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I'm willing to support it. We definitely need the water out here, and we need to quit relying on Santaquin as much as we do.
Mr. Larson?
So when we went and applied for the loan and grant for the money, I think Brian Draper was a councilman and he was over water. And we went over up to the Department of Drinking Water Quality, and you gave your presentation. They had your paperwork where you applied for the grant. You had to give me a presentation, and we got to go last on all the applicants, so I got to hear their mistakes. And so when it was our turn, I heard some of the things, they asked questions like, are your citizens supportive of this? Are you willing to, you know, make the monthly payments or whatever it is to pay part of it back at a 0% interest rate, with $500,000 being forgiven? You know, they asked questions like that. So when I got there, I was excited. And our town did do a resolution before we go there that we supported it. And Guy got excited, and I says, you know, our citizens are way behind this, and yes, we're willing to do that, and yes, we need that. And I was excited about it, and I sat down, I got worried, I think, you know, I hope I represented you guys well, because I was way for it, I was passionate about it, and I maintain that passion now.
All right, thank you. That's the last of our questions. If you want to see the key and know what the answers are, I'll have that afterwards.
Put our answers on the table as we leave, right?
Thank you all for showing up tonight, but also for being willing to spend the time to take one of these roles. So we appreciate you all for that. At this time, based on, or following up on what Lucinda said, if you could take a seat at a table in the room, then people can come up and ask you specific questions. Oh, there's refreshments too.